Welcome sa isa na namang masaya, entertaining at very informative at all-inclusive na gabi. Hatid sa inyo ng The CA Resource Project. At syempre naman, kasama niyo naman ako si Sir RJ at mga kasama din natin mamaya ang ating co-moderator na si Sir Mac. Unang-una sa lahat, we would like to welcome everyone, kung bago man kayo dito sa aming YouTube channel, to please subscribe for our future uploads at ma-view nyo na rin yung mga bago naming videos na hinahanda para sa inyo. Kung kayo ay BSc student, CBLE reviewee, and of course, Customs Brokers para ma-keep update naman tayo sa ating mga pinaggagawa at mga pinag-aaralan sa Bachelor of Science in Customs Administration program. So, without further ado, mamaya sasamahan tayo ni Sir Mac, huwag kayong mag-alala. Without further ado, let's bring our resource speakers to talk about the ultimate guide for the CBLE, making it to the top. So without further ado, I bring to you our special guests, Sir Chris and Sir Dio. Sirs, kamusta kayo dyan?
Ay, thank you so much, Sir RJ. We're doing great. Looking forward to another fruitful discussion with you guys. Sir Dio, good evening.
I think I'm on mute. Again, thank you, Sir RJ, and good evening, Sir Chris and Sir RJ. I think Sir Mac will be joining us in a bit. And this would be our second live cast. No? We're very excited to bring you this, especially to those students and aspiring customs brokers.
Yes, Sir Dio, at napaka-importante nga naman ang ating topic for today, usually sabihin lang natin sa mga carpatids natin na kasama natin ngayon, usually nagpapalit-palit tayo, nagkakaroon tayo ng rotation ng host at resource speakers, Pero huwag kayong mag-alala, mamaya meron kaming special announcement for our next topic which we will bring to you next Saturday night. So tandaan niyo na simula ngayon, basta Carp Night is a Saturday night, 'di ba? So Sir Dio, looking forward ka ba sa mga special topics na ihahatid natin para sa mga carpatids natin na nanonood at tagapagsubaybay natin?
Syempre naman, Sir RJ, aside from those regular uploads natin para sa mga students, we upload lectures, tutorials. So we are doing this live cast in addition to those. Kasi we also want to have an interaction with you, our viewers, and I think we are also encouraging Sir RJ, for our viewers to suggest topics that they wanted to hear from us. Kasi it would be great na sa inyo manggaling mismo kung ano yung gusto mong marinig. And we will bring those topics to you.
Yes, and if any time during our discussion tonight, we will be discussing our journey, our CBLE journey. If you have any questions during our discussion tonight, just feel free to comment and ask those questions. So we will try our best to entertain and we'll try our best to address those questions later before we end.
Yes, sa mga carpatids natin, talagang nag-grow na ang ating community. At we invite everyone to share this live stream sa mga social media accounts nila on Facebook, on Instagram, kahit i-share ninyo sa mga crush ninyo or sa mga, alam nyo na, sa mga gusto ninyong makausap, kunwari, i-share ninyo sa mga friends ninyo, sa mga family members ninyo na interested sa ating pinag-aaralan. I think our channel will provide those information na hinihingi nila. So, Sir Chris, ano nga ba ang mga uploads natin so far sa YouTube channel natin?
Well, just to give you a brief background about our channel, we are uploading there, aside from these live streams, we're also uploading there several lectures on different subjects on customs administration. We have already uploaded subjects on partnership and corporation law. We have already videos tackling practical classification, rules of origin, and most importantly, siguro for purposes of those who will be taking the board exam, we're also uploading Q&As for the different CBLE subjects. So total na pag-uusapan na rin natin ang CBLE or ang licensure examination. I guess maybe we can start our discussion tonight para para makarami tayo.
Yes, sir. Without further ado, let's talk about our topic. So, first question is for Attorney Chris. Sir Chris, what is the Customs Brokers Licensure Examination? What is the CBLE?
This is the Customs Brokers Licensure Examination. It's a common experience para sa ating lahat ng naging brokers, no. It's an exam, or kumbaga it's a rite of passage na pagdadaanan ng bawat broker dito sa atin. Now, if you're going to ask, ano ba tong CBLE? Bakit ba kailangang pagdaanan natin to? Bakit ba kailangang pahirapan natin yung sarili natin para makapag-review at makapag-exam? Well, this CBLE, this kumbaga tradition, or this event, or this rite of passage has its basis under the law, no? So if you're going to look at our CMTA, so it forms the very requirement bago ka maging isang customs broker. Look at the definition of customs broker under our CMTA. So it refers to any person who holds a valid certificate of registration, professional ID card issued by the Professional Regulatory Board, Professional Regulation Commission. Okay? So, and if you're going to look at our Republic Act number 9280, meron din tayong specific provision on that. Paano ka makakakuha ng certificate of registration? Paano ka makakakuha ng ID card? Nandyan yan sa 9280. Bago ka makakuha ng certificate of registration and bago ka makakuha ng PRC ID card, you will have to undergo, or you will have to pass the licensure examination. If you look at Section 19, yan, Section 19 of our Republic Act 9280, it says there, your certification of registration shall be issued to examinees who pass. Okay? If you look at that particular provision, it's issued to those who pass the licensure exam for customs brokers. So this exam, CBLE, in essence, kailangan siya para maging customs broker. Because the CBLE is the only way by which you can get a certificate of registration and the ID card, which in turn is necessary for you to become a customs broker and to practice the customs broker's profession under our law. So, kaya ka magsi-CBLE dahil gusto mong maging customs broker. Wala nang ibang dahilan. Okay? Yun lang naman yun eh.
To add on with Sir Chris. Go ahead, Sir Chris. Sorry. Alam ko tapos na-interrupt ko. It's okay.
Yes, sir.
To put it simply as explained by Sir Chris, yan yung medyo technical or legal part to CBLE. But to put it simply for our viewers, it's just like the board for accountants, diba? Mga accountancy students who are aspiring accountants. So they have to take the professional board exam for accountancy or accounting, right? Like doctors, before they get to be doctors, they have to pass an exam. Lawyers and many more other professions. So yeah.
Yes, thank you, Sir Dio, and thank you, Sir Chris. So, Sir Chris, when did you took the board exam, sir?
I took the board exam 2004. Sir Dio.
I took the board exam 2016.
2016. So, with that year difference, meron bang pinagbago, sir, ang CBLE throughout the years?
Well, even before pa naman, no? Even before my time in 2004, I believe yung during the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, the Customs Brokers Licensure Exam was in essay form. Okay, so it's some sort of kumbaga parang it's similar to the bar exam in such a way. Before yung Customs Brokers Licensure Exam, I believe kinukwento sa akin essay form pa siya dati. But during my time when I took it in 2004, it was already in multiple choice format. And also, during my time, I think one of the most important differences between the CBLE during my time and during the time now is that during my time there were 5 subjects, and the CBLE takes place or takes place for 3 days in a year. So 3 araw kami noon, 5 subjects. I
Wow.
believe ngayon.
For 2016 batch, along with Sir RJ, no, I think we are very lucky kasi the CBLE in 2016 was very structured na eh. I think since the passage of RA 9280 was way back in 2004. So marami ng pinagdaanan. There could be trial and errors in the past that have been refined for our batch. So I think we're very lucky to have a very structured CBL.
And Sir Dio, I would just like to add, we were the last batch of the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines na
Exactly,
board
yeah.
exam. The next year after that, yung coverage ng board exam natin came from DCMTA na.
Yes,
So, I believe yung exam natin is sabi nila medyo mahirap na yung time. Medyo mahirap na, so sinulit-sulit na yung TCCP questions natin, So, I would with that evolution.
Sir RJ, sorry to interrupt. Dagdag ko lang, actually since you mentioned that has been my inspiration as well. I mean, that puts pressure on me na I have to pass this year. Kasi iniisip ko, if I failed this year, it would be very much challenging for me to pass next year. Kasi yung pinag-aralan ko for the 4 years would be changed.
Mag-iba.
Yeah, mag-iiba. So I really have to put extra more effort if I failed this year. So yun yung nag-push din sa akin eh.
Yes, so ibig sabihin lang yan, shout out sa mga batch 2016 CBLE takers. Mabuhay kayo mga mamansers. Alam namin ang inspirations natin, di ba? Ano, Sir Chris?
We also, siguro ang isang aabangan naman natin ngayon is we will have to observe how the CBLE will adapt to the current situation. Matutuloy ba siya? Magiging face-to-face ba siya? I think this is history again in the sense that the CBLE got cancelled or got postponed for last year. So we did not have any last year. So we'll see if by that time the face-to-face arrangement will still be feasible, or will it? I believe that they are in the case of the bar exam, they are entertaining thoughts on having it electronically done, but I don't know if it's possible for the CBLE to be done that way. Other examinations, other board examinations for the other professions, I believe, have also pushed through. I just don't know what changes there are, if any. So abangan natin kung ano yung magiging pagbabago sa CBLE ngayong taon. So I think it's important for us, especially sa mga nakikinig sa atin, to please always stay tuned sa official announcements. Huwag tayong magre-rely sa kuryente or sa sabi-sabi ng kung sino-sino. Let's listen to official announcements regarding our CBLE. Abangan natin yan.
Yes, thank you very much, Sir Chris and Sir Dio, discussing or giving us highlights kung paano natin tinitake yung CBLE the time before. So, Sir Chris, who administers the CBLE?
Well, as mentioned earlier, nasa batas naman natin yan. It's the PRB. It's among the powers of the Professional Regulatory Board to prepare and modify the questions for the board exam. I'd just like to compare this with the bar exam, wherein there is anonymity kung sino ba yung gumagawa ng mga tanong. Sa bar exam kasi, you would not know kung sino yung mga gagawaan ng tanong, although may mga clues or may mga maiingay na pangalan kung sino yung mga posibleng gumagawa ng tanong. But in the case of the board exams or in the case of the CBLE, alam natin or we know who will be making the questions, or at least who should be making the questions. It should be the Professional Regulatory Board who is empowered under the law to prepare those board exam questions. So let that be our, kumbaga parang tip na rin yan, di ba? If you want to answer well, or if you want to prepare well for an exam, you must know who will be the ones preparing those questions. No? So in that case, PRB is the one who will prepare those questions.
Okay. So, sir, let's go to the subjects and the weight of the exam, no? So, ano ba, sir, yung kailangan natin i-take note, sir, kapag magte-take tayo ng CBLE? Let's start with Sir Dio.
Sir RJ, is that a question of ano na ba? Preparation na for for review?
Pakibigyan lang tayo, sir, ng introduction, sir, kung ano nga ba yung mga subjects na kailangan natin i-take note, ano
I
yung weight.
mentioned kanina there are 4.
Yes.
During my time, there were 5 subjects. Ngayon, 4 na lang. So,
I guess, siguro i-start natin kay Sir Chris. During your time, sir, what are those 5 subjects?
Teka. I think during my time, customs law yung customs law, may 2 customs law subject, hati siya sa 2, and 2 tariff law subjects. Hold on, let me just check this. We have 1 for tariff law, 1 for computation, 1 for documentation, 1 for warehousing, and 1 for customs laws. So yun yung 5 subjects namin before. So now, I think
For
Sergio, alam yan, mas kabisado yung 4.
For 2016, sir, I think the only difference is that the warehousing part is incorporated already with either the customs laws. Sineperate na yung customs laws part and the documentation procedure and integrated into 2 subjects. Then the tariff laws remain and separate po yung classification and practical computations into 1 subject.
Yeah, and just also to mention, those 4 subjects are equal in weight, 25% siya to make up your 100%.
Sir, dagdag ko lang, it would vary during our batch in 2016. The first 3 subjects, the customs laws, customs documentation, clearance and procedures, tariff laws, are 100 items. But in the case of batch of 2016, the classification and practical computation is only made up of 50 questions. I think 20 questions would be classification and 30 questions would be practical computation. So with this, I think we really just have to be prepared. Kasi as we don't know it would be 100 items because I asked previous batches, batch 2015, I think they have 100 item for the practical computation, which is quite heavy for them as I interviewed some of the people who have experienced those. So, yeah, prepare na lang talaga ang kailangan.
Well, actually, yung finlash kanina sa screen ni Sir RJ, that's the one for the 2019 or the previous board exam. So actually, again, this is one of the things you should watch out for. Magkakaroon ba ng modifications dito? The board can do that, but the board will have to come up with the schedule, the list of subjects, and the outline. So abangan din natin yan from the professional regulatory board. So what subjects there will be, but last time there were 4.
Sir, let me just parang convey this one tip, with having those 4 subjects. The first tip would be, I have this one tip for aspiring customs brokers is, as early as now, please don't have a favorite subject. Okay, try to avoid yourself to have favorite subject because you will consume more and more time to that favorite subject to the point that you may tend to miss to review other subjects kasi you have your favorites. Parang anak mo lang yan. Imagine those 4 subjects as equally important as much as possible. Okay? Don't treat anyone or any subject special. Okay?
Kaya sa 25% din. If you look at the percentage, be guided by that. Kaya sa 25% din lahat. So that means you should give equal importance to each and every subject. Total, Sir Dion, pag-uusapan na rin lang naman natin yung giving importance to each subject. How was your schedule like when you were reviewing for the board?
Smooth naman siya, sir. 2-day. Then, review schedule. You review that on the board proper. Sorry. My schedule, it's quite extensive for me because even before the review proper, we have this so-called review proper for 5 or 6 months before the board exam. But even before that, I have gone ahead for 2 months.
Right.
So I stand alone, not telling anyone that I'm going
Right.
up for review ahead
Ah.
of the others. So like I've attended a tutorial. It's a
Mhm.
tutorial offered by review classes. There are a lot of review classes naman. So yun po, I tried to enroll for tutorial before I finally get into a review proper.
By the way, during my time, I had the CBLE, or our CBLE was scheduled in the month of October, and I recall that if I remember correctly, I started um, I started reviewing months ahead. So siguro mga by March or April of that year pa lang nag-start na akong mag-review din. So March, April, and then um, June, July, October. Siguro mga 6 or 7 months. Siguro mga half a year. I took mga around 6 months or half a year in preparation for my board exam. Sir RJ, total broker, total broker naman tayong lahat din dito. Ha? Ikaw, how much time or how many months or if at all did you spend reviewing?
Well, for me it was different, sir. Ako kasi yung time na graduate ako was not the same time na graduate with Sir Dio and Sir Mac, who will be joining us sooner or later. Ako kasi graduate ako by May 2016. Nauna sila by March. So summer, nag-take pa kasi ako kasi may mga back subjects ako during the summer. So humabol ako. So I was able to start my review from June 2016 up to November to the actual date of the board exam. So I was just going to ask Sir Chris and Sir Dio, is it important to set a particular day or set a particular time or schedule or mag-schedule ng review?
Of course. Oo. Kasi
And how do you go about it?
okay, sige halimbawa for the upcoming CBLE this coming November, no? Siguro ilang ano na lang ba natitira. It's we're almost done with June. Siguro let's start July, August, September, October. Siguro let's work with 4 months. Siguro in those 4 months, ako lang to, but if I were to review for this year, 4 months, I would spend the first 3 months, take 3 weeks per subject. 3 weeks subject 1, 3 weeks subject 2, 3 weeks subject 3, 3 weeks subject 4. So that's 12 weeks. Teka. Sorry, math tuloy.
Okay lang, sir.
Teka ha. Oh, basta siguro 2 or 3 weeks per subject. And then same time answering yung CBLE practice questions. I think aside from reviewing the materials themselves, you would also want to spend time practicing answering those questions. Okay, so that you can have a feel of how it goes when you're in the actual examination room. So aside from the 4 subjects, if I were to budget my time for this year, aside from the 4 subjects, I would also allot a few weeks just simply practicing. So if I were to share during my time, just to give you an idea, these were my the practice questions from my from my review classes for each of the 5 subjects. Yeah, I still have them. And then from my review classes, these were my materials. Yung mga puro to practice Q&A.
Wow.
But I went through these materials. Practice lang ng kasasagot. Siguro around 5 times. I don't know if you will treat that as an exaggeration, pero I did it kasi in my case, remember that I was not a graduate. we were the last batch. We were the last batch allowed who are to take the exam even without graduating with a degree of Bachelor of Science in Customs Administration. So I was not a Customs Administration graduate. So I had a lot of catching up to do. So kaya din, siguro all these questions I went through these mga around 5 to 7 times, mga ganun. And practice lang ng practice. Aside from reviewing the materials themselves, also practice answering those questions. So if you were to take the exam now, budgeting nyo na yung time. Let's say mag-start na kayo ng July, August, September, and October. Those 4 months, budget it well. Budget them well. Budget your time well.
Sige, ako naman po, sirs, well, I'll be honest, I started as early as when I was in 3rd year. I was a transferee back then from Ames to Lyceum, Manila. So I won't tell about the story behind that, but I started as early as 3rd year, but not as structured as when I've entered 4th year. So 4th year po talaga ako nag-start. And I would say that it's really important to have a schedule on reading the materials and reading laws, reviewing. So usually, I really enjoyed the company with LPU kasi very competitive din yung mga tao doon. Hello sa mga nanonood from LPU batch 2016.
Mga kabatch namin.
Mga competitive friends na sinasakop yung library after class or before class kasi takot kay Ma'am Riquinto and what. So yeah, I would say that I started my review schedule as early as 4th year. That's why I keep also on telling my students now to start as early as when you are students. Kasi if you start, I would say if you start when you graduated, it could be too late. Kasi hindi mo alam kung ano pang pwede mangyari. And it's not only about review. You have to also manage your personal life along with your review. Hindi mo alam kung ano pwedeng mangyari sa finances, sa personal na buhay mo. So, better to start. So yeah, that's what I keep on telling my students. And for our viewers, start as early as you can. And because today is late na. Today is late. So start today.
I think, sirs, we could all agree that to start early is very essential. Especially ngayon, sa current situation natin ngayon. We only have how many days left before the CBLE, right?
Yeah.
So it is very important. Anyways, Sir Dio, I interrupted you. So can you continue, sir?
Okay, sir. Yun lang naman. Then, yun nga, after nung sa 4th year ko, I did a little more push. Not because, yun pala. Formally, I started on 4th year. What drives me to review, kasi competitive na yung class natin in 2016. And also, my way of reviewing, unlike with Sir Chris is sobrang extensive magbasa-basa. My way is different. On how I did it is, I try to form my own questions. That's why I even asked PSCAS if I can conduct tutorials for those who would be taking the mock board exam. Yung pala, for our viewers, at the Lyceum of the Philippines University, we have the so-called mock board exam. And if you fail to pass the mock board exam, you may not graduate, or you may not push through to the next level to take the board exam. So yeah. So I was very happy kasi I was supported by the PSCAS to conduct the tutorials for 4 years. So dun pa lang nag-start na, I formed my own questions. Then push pa with tutorials, the review proper. And I would say na sobrang fortunate ko din because walang masyadong nangyaring personal incidents na sa family or what. Kasi may mga kilala rin ako na may mga may mga pangyayari sa buhay na naka-apekto sa review. Ay, Sir Mac. How are you, Sir Mac?
Ladies and gentlemen, mga Carpatids, I bring to you ang macho papa ng Southside, Mr. Antonio Macbilason.
Actually, north side na ngayon.
North side na pala, sorry.
Thank you. Sorry, medyo maaga ako kasi karoon ng konting technical difficulties. Pero I figured it out finally, eventually.
Ang ganda ng background mo, sir, Ang dami mong spotlight.
Iba tayo On the spot tayo on the spot.
Actually, mukhang total review pinag-uusapan natin, mukhang conducive for review yung Yeah, set up.
Yes.
Actually, this is parang pre-chosen area ko talaga to. Specifically for this discussion because during the review, itong area na to actually helped me review. So, sa Starbucks to. Bibili ka ng isang kape, mga 12 oras ka doon.
Starbucks, baka naman, di ba?
Ano naman, no?
But when I did my review, I was staying at home.
Iba-iba kasi sir eh. Actually, one of the things that I realized after the board exam, magkaroon ng discussion on that. There are people na comfortable sila reviewing at home. There are people like
Yes.
me. I don't want to review at home because it's so easy for me to just lie down and sleep, lie down and watch
Yes.
Netflix. As opposed sa outside ka, for example, sa Starbucks Dapitan, shout out by the way. Doon, pag nagre-review ako doon, kasabay ko doon mga accountancy, kasabay ko doon yung medicine. Kasi sunudan lang yung board exam. So, wala, imbis na magkaroon ka ng mga excuses pa, manood ka ng Netflix or what, mahihiya ka sa sarili mo. Kasi, lahat ng kasama mo nagre-review. Talagang tutok lang kami sa review doon.
Another tip for us, find a place where you can find a place conducive for you for study and for review. It may be at home, maybe in some place else, but find a place wherein you find yourself productive in terms of review. Tip yan.
Exactly, sir. Actually, merong ano niyan eh. May mga studies about that, if I may share. I think it falls on attention, the category of attention, wherein what you actually do is to remove all distractions in your study area. So it could either be you remove yourself from all of the distraction or you actually clear out all of the distraction. So, kung maraming clutter, maraming, say, may mga, what you call this, may cellphone, computer, or whatnot na nandoon sa area mo, mga console, gamings, you remove it from your area of study. And this is a proven method scientifically to actually induce focus, memory retention, as well as to reduce stress.
Now that you mentioned that we have to get also, that's another tip, no, Sir Mac? Review of
Yes,
all,
yes.
get rid of non-essential, get rid of distractions as much as we can. Now that we've done that, ano ba yung pinaka-importante na dapat meron ka while reviewing? Ano ba yung mga essentials mo while preparing for your CBLE review? Well, if I may start, no, during my time, ano ba yung mga essentials? During my time, of course, panahon namin, TCCP pa. So, of course,
Yes, sir.
it's a must na may TCCP ka. Now, it should be the CMTA. Okay?
Yes,
And then also,
yes.
aside from that, I prepared, or what I had was a compilation of the essential or the compilation of the necessary CAOs and CMOs during that time. And also, yung mga Q&As from the review centers. So those, siguro, if I were to choose my top 3 review materials, those would be it. Yung TCCP, the CAO, CMOs, and the Q&As from the review centers. Sirs, how about you?
And those things, Sir Chris, those things actually help you, led you to being one of the top notchers, top 10, no?
Yeah, I think so.
Those materials. Sir Dio, what you, knowing that you're also part of the top 10, what can you, Sir RJ, yung TCP, yung sa akin kasi naka-hardbound.
Puro tayo mga TCCP pa eh.
Naka-hardbound may naman.
Ano na to? Part na to ng Smithsonian Museum. Pero syempre, since memorable siya at kailangan natin, di ba? Syempre, kinikip natin yung very important or memorable para sa atin, di ba? So, yun lang.
Totoo. With that, sir, I was actually asking Sir Dio because sabi ni Sir Chris, there are certain materials na in-insure niya, and one of them is definitely yung TCCP, yung pinakita mo, that actually helped him and led to him being a top notcher. Eh, syempre, hindi siya nag-iisa dito as a top notcher. We have also Sir Dio. Medyo nahihiya lang ako sa pumada ng buhok nito, pero this is a very top-notcher to, si Sir Dio. Sir Dio, what are those materials that are essential that actually led you? Kasi we all know na may usual material. But there are certain things that you guys do that actually gave you the edge and made you, pave the way to you being a top-notcher. Sir Dio.
Well, aside from those what are available publicly and those that are available or offered by review centers, the available materials na nabibili lang. Remember, Sir Mac, when I asked PSCAS if we can conduct tutorials for those that will be taking the Mac board for mga
Yes,
fourth year junior batch. I think that
yes, sir.
those questions that I have prepared for the tutorials were able to help me really a lot in preparation for the board exam. So, yun talaga, yung start yun ng fourth year, then I try to really prepare for tutorials for the upcoming Mac board exam.
Actually, that's true. That's true. Actually, there's another study about that, wherein they observe 120 something students, and they allow these students to actually discuss it and join group review. It actually helped them have or retain more information as opposed to just doing it alone. And I truly remember that, sir. I think it's in partnership as well with PSCAS, if I'm not mistaken. Baga may backup tayo sa PSCAS. By the way, Sir Dio, thank you very much for those tips. I would just want to say tawag dito. I just want to thank the 13,000 viewers that we have. I hope that they are learning. They are learning from this. Actually, it's 14,000 now. Viewers that we have, and they are learning so much from us. Hopefully, from this 13,000, makakuha tayo ng top 20.
Actually, total nabanggit din ni Sir Mac, no, yung about group study. I'll also share my inputs on that. Group study does not really work for me kung ako mismo sa sarili ko hindi pa nakapag-aral. For group study to be effective, I think that you should have first studied prior to that group study. Because if you come to a group study na blanco ka pa sa sarili mo, and your intention is makikinig ka lang dun sa mga kasama mo, I think it's not really an effective way to learn. The effectiveness of group study, I think, lies on sharing and giving and taking of information, and not really you being just a passive listener in that setup. So I think group study works for me, but dapat nag-aral ka na prior to that.
Yeah,
110%, sir. Exactly. Kasi if you go there empty-handed, walang there is no exchange of information, there is no interaction that will not allow you to really retain anything or to understand anything.
Lalo kung ganyang big group, no?
Exactly. I have the same same experience. Shout out to the Bagra family. So we had that, and we often argue, and shout out din kay Sir Jam Kaday, kasi every time we are in an argument block, tatawag kami kay Sir Kaday this oras ng gabi just to ask, to really ask, ano ba talaga yung tama? Ito yung appreciation ng isa, ito yung appreciation ng isa. And it actually, because of that interaction, it allowed us to retain
yes.
that particular discussion, yung information about that. So those are memorable, good memories as well as very good tips, no, Sir RJ. So, ano pa ba ang pwede natin? Yes, sir.
I'd just like to add on that kasi I think I had this same almost similar experience with the Bagra group, no. If I remember correctly, what's great about not only with Bagra group, I've also been with other sections. Unlike you guys, kasi ako kinatawag ng non-regular or irregular student. So I've been to different sections from different classes.
My term yan, sir. My term. Sir RJ. kung yung iba is normal, si sir is
Ano
Abnormal.
yun?
yon ang term. Okay. Halina, okay.
Well, yung pagiging abnormal student,
Sir, AB, ano na?
non-regular student, helped me also kasi I was able to collaborate with different people with different strategies on learning. And to cite an example with Bagra, I think this is really sweet with this circle of friends. They will somehow throw you off if you did not review. Kaya kapag tapos ka na sa discussion, bahala ka na. So, I mean, what I mean by that is with those kind of circle of friends or group, it would really push you to study kasi nakikita mo sila.
Not really throw off.
Yeah. No. It's just that, I mean, there's a pressure that you left behind.
Exactly.
That's why it would drive you to study further kasi nakikita mo sila nagsabay-sabay tapos ikaw may iwan. Yung tingin kong importante for someone who
Parang kang out of place sa group. Parang ganun yung mangyayari. If you came in not prepared, ikaw ang dami mong naririnig na parang hindi ko pa yan nababasa. You should rethink na the next time na magjo-join ka sa group study, you should be prepared.
Yes.
Yun lang naman.
Okay. Sige,
I think that's out of place.
And also, yun nga, I was about to say na if you come unprepared, the group study setup can backfire. It may cause you to lose confidence. No? So I think bottom line is if we're going to join a group study or a group in their review, make sure that you have studied first prior to that. Anyway, let me just ask you a question. How about review classes, review centers? Do you think they are essential para makapag-prepare ka for your CBLE? Of course, let's also be.
That's a question I was gonna ask you.
Mm-hmm. Well, in my case, if I were to answer that, it was really important for me to have enrolled myself in a CBLE review class because given my background, I'm not a CA graduate. I did not finish the Customs Administration course. I really find it necessary or malaki rin yung naitulong na nag-review ako or nag-enroll ako sa review classes for the CBLE. Aside from the fact that those review centers or review classes, they will be providing you with materials which you can also use during your personal time. So I think that's the advantage of enrolling in review classes with established review centers. The downside, I think, is, well, of course, aside from the fact that it costs money, I think I just don't know the setup now, no? Because before, the downside was you also get to spend time away from your personal review. Kasi may sarili kang review schedule, meron ding schedule yung review center, but I'm just not aware of the setup now of the review centers. Yung iba yata, I don't know if they migrated electronically or naging virtual na yung setup ng mga review centers ngayon and they can be accessed on demand. But during my time kasi, when you enroll in a review center, babiyahe ka pa, tapos a-attendan mo pa yung lecture na yon, and then minsan matetempt ka na lang na wag na lang umattend ng review class and then nasa bahay ka na lang or nasa somewhere else ka na lang at mag-review ka na lang ng sarili mo. So those are the factors which you should consider then sa review centers. And also, truth be told, I mean, totohanan lang din naman, may mga ano rin naman, may mga lecturers din naman sa mga review centers na hindi din na ma-maximize yung oras mo sa pag-attend sa lecture nila. If you know what I mean. Okay. Minsan you'll find yourself doing more worthwhile review by yourself than listening to some or a few lecturers then, to be fair.
Okay, ako sir, I'll just add on to that. I agree that there's
Exactly. That's why, sana sir, Sige.
Yes, Sir Mac.
I was gonna say, sana yung mga review center would be more, how do you say it, versatile in offering certain subject instead of the whole program. Para at least, we can choose na, okay, sige, we like this proctor, we want to stay in this subject because this proctor is teaching. On the other review center, mas gusto ko yung nagtuturo doon on this particular subject. So,
Right.
at least merong option ba yung mga bata.
Right.
Hindi yung locked in tayo sa isang review center. Sir Dio, actually, I was gonna point to you on this kasi I know na you are one of the, kumbaga, focused noon kasi kayo ang matataas ang grades noon eh. So, what about the question on review center? Do we enroll or do we not?
Ako kasi may like Sir Chris, I prefer also to have my own personal review session. But what drives me to really go for a review center, to enroll myself on a review center? Because in our course, ito yung pinaka-problemang sa nakita ko ha. There are several interpretations on different topics. That's why I entered in a formal review class to clarify things out. Kasi kung ako lang yon, base lang sa pag-intindi ko, sa pinag-aralan ko nung college, I may lack confidence to really that support my answers for the review, for the board exam proper. Yun yung unang naging dahilan talaga. That's why I enrolled myself to a review class to clarify what my knowledge is and of course to strengthen. But as mentioned by Sir Chris, there's danger to that because if you are not used to have your own personal review session, the tendency is that you will just rely on the review center's review schedule. And that's the danger. Kasi, let's say for example, if you are given a review schedule only in the morning and you don't have a schedule in the afternoon for your own personal review session, you won't get the benefit of enrolling on a review center. Really, masasayang kasi hindi mo na nahasa kung ano yung natutunan mo sa review center. So, it's important if you're going for a review center, make sure that you also have your own personal review session. Okay?
Yes, Sir Dio, I agree.
100%. 100%.
I would actually share siguro, sir, my thought on that is ang benefit na nag-enroll ka sa mga review centers is of course you would be able to be enlightened sa mga topics na never mo pa na discover, especially ang mga review centers are well informed and smartened up doon sa topics na sa mga pwedeng possible na lumabas sa board exam mismo. And on top of that, you would be having assessment exams or evaluation, diba? So you would be able to answer the questions that are supposed to be na baka possible based doon sa board exam na iti-take mo. So you would get that actual feel eh. Then makikita mo yung mga scores mo. You would be updated kung saan ka dapat mag-focus. Anong subject ka lacking ng review, 'di ba? So yan yung makukuha mo doon, and of course agreeing with Sir Dio, you should be able to update yourself too. After mo pumasok sa session mo sa review center, always check and always process yung mga na-discuss sa'yo after those session. So, kailangan ikaw din on your own 'di ba? So, i-verify mo, okay, so ano tong sinabi ni ma'am ganito? Ano po yung sinabi ni sir na ganito? So, you should take note of that. Yun lang naman ang masasabi ko.
I'll highlight, RJ, sorry Sir Chris, I'll highlight the importance of that reviews, having a review center, because you get to have really that experience, yung board exam-like experience.
Yes,
you won't get if you are reviewing on your own lang. Okay? Yun yung importance. Kasi pressured by time, pressured also by the people sitting beside you. and you also get to see the score. So there's a lot of pressure. Okay.
So I think that the review center or enrolling yourself in a review class is a great supplement too, but however, it's not a substitute for your personal review. So I think those two should go hand in hand. Your personal review and a great supplement to that would be uh, having review classes with a review center. So I think this board
100%.
exam talk is getting I mean as I mentioned earlier, this is a stressful experience which every aspiring customs broker has to undergo. Ang ginagawa nyo para hindi masyado ma-stress during the time that you are reviewing?
I think
Sir,
Sir Matt can share.
Siguro ko.
Sir,
Go ahead.
Ako kasi the way I handled yung I think I was one of the most affected with when it comes to stress, pressure sa board exam. Mainly because tawag dito, there's so much expectations. It's not only from the family but also from myself. But the way I handled stress at the time, so I educated myself on how to actually do it, how to handle stress. So that's the reason why I come up with a few formula for it. So number one of the things that I use to handle stress is healthy living. So eat healthy and then work out. It's very essential. You sleep, you have enough sleep, and time out from review. So you have to, hindi ibig sabihin na wala ka ng half a day or one day sa review session mo, sa review regimen mo, you're gonna fail the board exam. Your mind, your body, your emotional well-being needs time off from all of those things. So I think those are the things that actually help me de-stress at the time. What about you, Sir Dio? Babalik ko sir yung bola. How did you handle pressure and stress?
I don't have that kind of parang discipline. Sorry, term. I'm not that kind of very disciplined with healthy diet. But I would also suggest that if I was only disciplined back then, I would do that. But for me, it's different because
akala ko wala kang stress.
No, sir. Meron tayong lahat ng ganyan. Just that during the board exam, I find to do things na nakakawala rin ng stress. Well, the first one is I used to have a body review mate. Not just body. I have several groups po. I don't have one person to review. Well, sa second pa yung ina-assume nyo yung pangalawa eh. Dumaan tayo sa
Yung ba yun? Wala ka
sa first
sabi.
one.
Ba't nagre-react? Relax ka lang.
Yun pala tawag nung time ninyo, no?
No. Parang ayoko nang ituloy. Hindi, for the benefit of
Tuloy mo na, sir. Tuloy mo na. Relax ka lang. Kinakabahan ako.
This is true. I have joined different groups. Kasi unlike others, I prefer to have my personal review to then have several groups na review session. Kasi I want to test what I know. Okay? So during the board exam review proper, I have five groups, I think. The group of I won't name basta 5 groups. But this one, you see Von Cajete. Hi Von, if you're watching. Si Von talaga yung naging parang solid review mate ko during the board exam. And we do
Shout out Von. He's also a top notcher.
Who by the way is also a top notcher.
Yeah, top 6 si Von.
Yes,
Von, if you're watching. So ang stress reliever namin is we play Dota. As in we review in the morning and the afternoon.
I remember that.
We play Dota evening up to midnight. That's how we relieve our stress.
I
This is
remember,
true.
I remember that, Sir Dio. There was a time when I went to this room ng isang, I don't know, group of people. I can't remember kung saang school, maybe LP or whatnot. And then may discussion kayo doon ni Von. And before that, wala kayong ibang ginawa kundi mag-Dota. After Dota, discussion. Or was it the other way around? Basta hindi kayo nag-prepare noon, but you were able to make the discussion on certain topic. That's a good technique, you know?
That's how we relieve our stress. But the second one, of course, I get to find a special someone during the board exam that really inspires
You know.
me. Yeah. Hi.
You know.
Ito na ba yun? Ito na ba yun? Ha? Seatmate
Which is
yun eh.
also top
Seatmate
notcher,
yun eh.
top 9. Hi.
Ay,
And now
yabang
she's
naman. Ang yabang. Pinagmamalaki.
Oo, iba yung ngiti ko. Oh. So happy.
Oo. Giting tagumpay yan. Nakakatuwa yung stress reliever mo, Sir Dio, no? Si Sir RJ, iba yung reliever nito eh.
Well, siguro ang reliever ko, well, obviously, I did not follow Sir Mac's extreme diet and exercise as demonstrated right now. As demonstrated all through these years, ano? Ang stress reliever ko that I enjoyed really well is actually nag-try ako hindi ko trinay, actually ginawa ko talaga. Nag-tutor ako ng mga undergraduates before. So I was able to share what I am learning during the time na nagre-review ako. And at the same time, tinuturuan ko yung mga shoutout sa mga second year or third year at the time na tinuturuan ko nung time na mga Junakis, and then eventually mga naging tropa natin yan. May mga review sessions din sila kapag kailangan nila ng tulong ko, uma-attend ako sa mga review sessions nila. Pero ang ginagawa ko is to guide them kung paano sagutin yung mga tanong nila. Well, apart from that, nag-exercise naman ako kahit papaano. So, importante din siguro yung tama yung sinabi ni Sir Mac yung sa study niya na inaral niya. Yung simpleng stretching, simpleng cardio lang, at least 1 hour of cardio, at least mag-stretch ka lang, magbanat-banat ka lang ng buto. Meron kang magigain na I don't know kung paano ko ipuput into words yan eh. Parang ini-exercise mo din yung thought process mo, brains mo. Same time, nag-exercise ka ng body mo.
Actually, Sir RJ, you actually led us to the next question that I was gonna ask is staying healthy. That's really true. Yung exercise, there's a study na your brain really needs oxygen. And when you exercise, you're actually feeding your brain cells with the necessary oxygen it requires for it to function properly. However, I think what I notice is we're focused on a lot of the advices that we have. I would like to take this conversation a little bit on a serious note. Let's talk about admin stuff. Let's talk about, say, PRC documentations, requirements, and whatnot. Although I am not the guy to explain this, hingi ako ng tulong. Siguro kay Sir Chris. Sir Chris.
Ano lang naman to eh. These are just minor things which, kumbaga, while you are reviewing, don't lose track of these administrative matters. Bear in mind na meron kayong paperwork na kailangang asikasuhin, yung mga requirements nyo na kailangang i-submit sa PRC. You have to submit them on time, and you have to submit them with a complete requirement. So don't lose. Also, baka mamaya masyado kayo na-focus naman sa review ninyo, nakalimutan nyo palang i-submit yung mga kailangan nyo i-submit sa PRC. So don't. Also, I think this has been the standard or the practice for the past few board exams. Yung mga susuotin niyo during the board exam day, i-prepare nyo na rin so that hindi nyo na siya isa pang aalalahanin kapag malapit na yung araw na yon. Usually, it's just a white white polo shirt and white
And
blouse
lucky
for
underwear. And
and
lucky
what?
underwear, Sir Chris.
And yung
Lucky
red na
underwear.
underwear.
Ano ba yung lucky underwear?
Yung red na underwear.
Anong kulay?
Yung red na
Anong
underwear,
kulay
sumuot
dapat?
ka ba noon, attorney?
Red.
Red dapat. Red.
No, bakit
Hindi ka
red?
suot nun?
Bakit red daw? No. Ay,
Bumili ako 3 nun.
hindi ko alam
Sinuot
yan.
ko sabay-sabay. Totoo
By the
naman.
way,
Nakapasa naman.
yun. And also, calculators, yeah. Yung lapis, I don't know if it's because it's shading for the past few years, so prepare na rin yung mga kakailangan yung lapis, yung calculators. I think also there for the past few years ina-allow din yung for one particular subject meron kayong libro na ina-allow. So prepare niyo na rin yung kakailanganin yung libro na yun. These matters you would not want to worry about them on the day of the exam themselves. So i-prepare niyo na rin yun ahead of time or while reviewing, do not lose track of these administrative matters. Yun lang naman.
Actually, sir, you're really right. Actually, that goes back to stress relieving. Ibalik ko lang,
Yes.
sir, kasi one of the things na notice ko, people panic during the board exam. Isa ako doon. So what I did, although hindi naman necessary, lahat ng review material ko dinala ko sa venue ng review ng board exam. Lahat ng mga kailangan ko, ano yung kinakain ko during the review, yun ang kinain ko. Ano yung iniinom ko, yun ang bit-bit ko. Lahat. Pagdating ko sa loob, may pagkain ako. Pinagtawanan pa nga ako kasi may dala akong gloves eh. Surgical gloves. Kasi sobrang panic mo.
I remember that.
Para saan?
Gloves.
Para saan? What for?
Sobrang panic mo, sir. Yung kamay mo namamawis. And you're so scared na ma-damage mo yung paper kasi electronic siyang chine-check, di ba, sir?
Yes.
You're so scared. And true enough, buti na lang nagdala ako noon. Kasi at yung first exam na nag-fill out na, yung kamay ko parang bukal. Bukal ng tubig. Grabe. And then, yun. So, advice ko yun na anything, pati yung underwear na sinasabi na red, you bring everything that you want to bring kahit na hindi mo gagamitin. Just so it can give you peace of mind na hindi ka magpapanik. So, binitbit ko yun. It actually helped me. So, naka-relax ako noon. So relaxed na during the board exam, nag-toss coin pa ako sa mga iba kong sagot. So, parang ang naging sistema ko nun eh. All the sure answer ko, inuna ko. Don't take time, guys. Huwag kayong mag-take time. So, lahat ng sure answer ko, inuna ko. Lahat ng hindi nahihirapan ako, hinuli ko. Then, babalikan ko yan. Pag binalikan ko yan, say for example, 30 items, makakalahati ko pa yan pag binalikan ko. So, may matitira niyan, mga 10 or 15 items. Ang ginagawa ko dyan, elimination, process of elimination. So, sa 4 na choices, tinatanggal ko yung 2. Pag 2 na lang yung tira, may isa pa akong process doon. The rest of the reviewees, hanggang doon lang yung process of elimination. Ako, may isa pa akong process doon. Pag 2 na lang yung choice, process of toss coin. Idaan mo na lang sa swerte.
Hindi, also, pero tama yan. I've been hearing that a lot. That during the first hour or first few minutes of your board exam, do not dwell too much on the questions which you cannot immediately ask. Instead, sagot lang kayo ng sagot and focus on questions na you feel confident about. Because the important thing here is to build your momentum while you are taking the exam. So if sa simula pa lang, magdodwell ka sa mga questions na hindi mo masagot, I think it will help bring down your momentum, bring down your confidence and your performance as well during the board exam. So the thing is, don't dwell too much at first during on questions which you cannot immediately answer. Build your confidence during the first few minutes of the board exam. Also, total na pag-uusapan din naman natin yung about health, maintaining your good health during the review season. No, I think it's important for you to develop your sleeping habit. And when I say develop your sleeping habit, you should sleep and wake up at a regular hour, because you will find yourself the night before the board exam that you can't sleep at all. So I think
Very difficult to
if
sleep.
you develop that habit ahead of time, baka hindi siya ganun kahirap. Kasi I think anyone who has taken the board exam will say na the night before, baka ang babaw ng tulog, hindi nakatulog, and that's a dangerous thing, sa totoo lang.
Mang,
Tapos
mga
baka sa
sirs,
board
can
exam
I
ka pa
share?
natulog.
Mga sirs, can I share? On
Sure,
that
sure.
note,
Yes,
I
sir.
have the
Nakatulog ka.
great deal
Hindi
of
ka namin papayagan.
misfortune.
Bawal ka mag-share.
Ay, ganun. Bawal ba mag-share?
Nakatulog ka.
I have the great deal of misfortune
Good.
on that scenario. Ito, mga magtitake ng CBLE, wag na wag kayong magpakasakali or maging nervous pagdating sa first day, na tipong hindi ka mapakali at mag-aaral ka pa rin all through the night, tapos hindi ka na, to the point na na-realize mo, ay, hindi na pala ako natulog. Nung time ko na nag-take kami ni Sir Mac and ni Sir Dio, hindi ako natulog on the night before. Hindi ako natulog. Iba yung hindi nagising. Hindi ako natulog. Nag-aaral ako. And sabi ko, hindi ko maintindihan tong feeling ko, pero anyways, I'll go through it naman. Morning, okay pa, may energy pa ako. Pero pagdating nung hapon, nung CDP na yung subjects natin, and alam ni Sir Dio, alam ni Sir Mac kung gaano kahirap yung CDP that time. My God. By question number 15, bigla ako nakatulog ako. Yes, sobrang dami. Hindi ko maintindihan kung saan nanggagaling yung question. Saan ito nanggaling? Diba? May ganun kang moments eh. Maya-maya by question number 15.
Bakit? Para ba yung sa LPO hymn? Gumaganon din?
Oo, yung parang sinusundan natin yung lyrics na hindi natin maintindihan, di ba? Kung hindi natin alam kung saan manggagaling. Pero by question number 15, nakatulog ako sa subject na CDP. And that's a big no-no. That's a big no-no. And yun siguro ang pinaka important lesson na hanggang ngayon sinishare ko sa mga students ko. Wag na kayo magpuyat the night before, because there will come a time na baka hindi ninyo kayanin, hindi ninyo ma-realize nakatulog na kayo. And sir, that subject lasted for 4 hours ba? 3 hours?
3. I think 3.
I think 3, no? Nakatulog ako 40 minutes. 40 minutes. And I'm not saying na 40 minutes yung tinulog ko. I'm saying 40 minutes left na lang yung natira.
Wow.
Oh. Wow.
At I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that.
Yeah.
Hindi ko yan kinikwento dahil proud ako na ginawa ko yun. Pero sinishare ko tong kwento na to para lang ma-avoid nila, 'di ba? Ma-avoid ng mga susunod na generation na magte-take ng board exam yung ginawa kong mistake na yon. So, yun lang naman, sir.
Let me sum it up, sir. Di baling walang tulog, wag lang walang gising.
Walang gising.
Oo. Okay na ako doon sa walang tulog. Pag lang
sir,
walang gising. Ayaman din lamang, sir, na pag-usapan natin yung lessons. I think it's high time for everyone here. So let's start siguro with Sir Dio, Sir Chris, Sir RJ, and maybe ako, on what are the lesson and final advice natin sa mga magbo-board exam.
Sir, ako, I
in
would like to
preparation
share
for the
something.
CBLE because November na yan.
Yeah, sir, I would like to add something lang muna with what Sir RJ and Sir Chris mentioned on their tips, the preparation. Back onto the preparation, this is what I would suggest. As long as the application to take the board exam is available, on that first week, if not the first day, at least the first week, make sure that you comply already on the registration. Huwag mo nang antayin yung deadline ng submission. Kasi I know someone na hindi nakapag-sumite kasi sobrang focus sa review. Okay? Inantay yung due date before they submit the application. And don't let it happen to you kasi baka may problema ka sa name, sa birth certificate mo, and you wouldn't know what may happen, di ba? Yun yung first note ko
Actually,
dyan.
it happened to me. It
Sige,
happened to
sir.
me, Sir Dio.
Yeah.
Muntik na akong hindi pag-examine kasi yung father ko on paper is an American citizen. Yung mother ko naman recently just got her Australian citizenship. So, nung nag-fill out ako sa father and mother, parehong foreigners ang parents ko. So, pinatawag pa ako sa PRC. Sabi na, you have to show proof na hindi ka foreigner. Dapat Pinoy ka. Otherwise, we're not gonna allow you to take the exam. Sabi ko, ma'am, sa itsura ko ba naman ito? Mukha akong hold-upper sa baba ng PRC. Hindi pa ba ako Pinoy? Gabi ka naman. Attorney, sabi, oo nga. Sabi niya, mag-ingat ka. Paglabas niyo, baka hablutin ko yung kwentas niyo, ma'am. Pina-exam naman ako.
The thing is, unforeseen events or unforeseen issues can crop up during your application. So better to start your application process with the PRC early. Kesa naman risking not being able to take the exam. Okay.
Secondly lang, no, on Sir RJ's experience, my experience is quite different. On my case naman, I think 1 week, if not 2, before the board exam, hindi ako nag-review. I swear, me and my buddies nag-stop na kami with review. Kasi overwhelmed na kami. The pressure is there. Hindi, the pressure is already there, the 1 week span of time. So, na lang, parang streaming, calling, pero yung extensive review like what Sir RJ did until the very last minute, we try to avoid that.
No.
But I have regrets on that.
It's a big no-no.
I have regrets on that naman. My regret is I was not able to maintain the discipline that I should. Nasabi ko, during 1 week, hindi ako magpapa-apekto sa mga mga ibang nangyayari. But the tendency, I tend to hear something about the news, what's happening to the people that I know. Pero ang plano ko talaga doon is 1 week peace of mind dapat. So that's one of my regrets. I let myself
100%.
be disturbed by different matters. So yun lang. Sana din magaya ng iba
Actually,
natin.
Sir Dio, may dalawa yan eh. So one of the best example I have on that is you, Von, and especially EJ. Si EJ noon, I think 3 weeks or a month before the board exam, sitting pretty na at the time. So yun yung pagkakaiba ng ibang nagre-review. By the way, EJ is also a top-notcher, no?
Yes.
So tawag dito yung pagkakaiba. Si EJ noon, palakad-lakad, maasar ka sa kanya kasi sitting pretty na siya, way ahead of time. Sabi ko, nakakaasar to kami noon, I was trying to scramble my way to it kasi magaling ako sa periodical exams. I'm very good at it. Ang problema ko, hindi ko na-anticipate na pag board exam, lahat pa na pag-aaralan mo, mahina ako doon. Puro lang ako cramming ang style ko. But yeah, 100% I agree with you, Sir Dio. With reviewing na magka-cramming ka at the very last minute, that's a no-no because it's really gonna derail your thought process. Wag na wag yung gagawin nyo. You have to really relax at least a few days. Minimum ko, at the very least 2 days before the exam. Dapat chill ka na. You really don't have to read anything. And another very important reminder. Marami ang maglalabasan, magsasabi na meron silang leakage. 99.9% of the time, that's not true. Walang leakage na mangyayari. What it's doing is it's gonna derail your focus. It's gonna take you out of your focus. It's gonna make you lose whatever pag-aaral, study that you have. Kasi magka-cram ka para habulin yung sinend na PDF file. Wag na wag kayo. May nangyari nun sa akin. Nag-send ng and I don't want to share Actually, I can't remember who shared the file naman. But somebody sent me an email at the time with a PDF file saying na this will definitely be in the board exam. You know what I did with the file? I deleted it. The moment I saw the subject, I deleted it. Why? Because I'm confident with what I've studied. I'd rather rely on that than rely on a piece of paper that pop up out of
Right.
nowhere. So, ganun ang ano ko. Never, never, never. Walang ganon. Huwag kayong maniniwala doon. Ano yun? Fake news yun na may leakage. So, going back, sir, I think it's the time of the day where we share yung final thoughts natin on this discussion. But before that, Sir RJ, wala ba tayong commercial?
Commercial? Okay, we would like to thank the following sponsors ba natin to sa Sir Mac?
Sponsors.
Mga
Sponsors
nagpapashout
natin
out.
yan. Kasi, syempre,
Sponsors natin yan.
Third.
Okay. Patalastas, Unakaw, you first sa English. Ano nga yung susunod na? Nakalimutan ko na. Pero gusto po namin pasalamatan ng Unakaw.
Yung pang sa mosquito. Yung sa mosquito.
Yung para sa mosquito. Okay, Katol. Okay, Katol. Kung kayo ay napapaligiran ng mga lamok para maiwasan ng dengue, okay, Katol. Gamitin lang, mabibili. Saan mang tindahan malapit sa inyo. Okay, Katol? Siguradong, okay, Katol, sa okay, Katol.
There's a question
Alright,
also.
so
on our
Chris,
YouTube
final,
site.
May
final
question.
thoughts.
May question daw. Sorry, let's try to before we close, let's try to entertain questions kung meron.
I can show the
Sige,
questions
sir.
here.
Medyo marami
Ayan.
lang kasi. Oo.
Kahit, pero okay lang po mag-review before board. Kahit, well, yes, if you're talking about,
No
if
way.
you're asking, pwede bang mag-review before board kahit ilang oras lang? By all means, yes. In fact, I would recommend just skimming over your materials instead of, kasi the tendency is, if in between the subjects, you get together with your co-examinees, the tendency is you will do a post-mortem of the examination. And the tendency is you will discuss areas wherein you think you committed mistakes. And the tendency again is that will bring your confidence down. So instead of talking to your co-examinees in
Yes.
between the subjects, I would recommend just simply studying and browsing over your notes. Kasi yung makipagkwentuhan ka pa with your co-examinees, malalaman nyo lang kung ay mali ako, ay parang mali yung sagot ko. Lalo pang na-derail yung thought process mo,
Exactly.
lalo pang na-lose yung confidence mo. So stop that. Instead of that,
Exactly.
just browse over your notes. Kung may kaya ka bang last minute na aral, why not? Yes, I think so. That's possible.
Ako sir, ang thought ko naman dyan, Sir Chris, it's a no-no for me. If it's, okay, let me qualify it. If your question is to confirm whether your question, meron kang question on certain topic, you just want to confirm if it's correct, to just validate and verify. Okay yun. Few hours before the exam. But if you're talking about studying a new topic before the board exam, for me it's a no-no because it's just gonna masisira lang yung diskarte mo no. Now, talking on reviewing in between the subject. Para lang makarelate ang mga ano natin diyan, mga sawi na kababayan. Isipin niyo na lang yung ex niyo niya na masama ang breakup niyo. After every exam subject, kalimutan nyo na yan. And focus on the upcoming exam. If you dwell on it, masisira diskarte mo. So for example, ako, after customs law, wala na. At hindi ako nakikikain na may kasamang reviewee. No way, lumalayo ako. Ang kasama ko yung pinsan ko. Wala akong kinakausap during the board exam.
Right.
Kasi magtatanong yan eh. Brad, tama ba ang sagot mo sa number 25? As if naman you remember number 25. No way.
Sir Mac.
So lumalayo ako kumain. That's my thought.
Yeah, Sir Mac, I think it comes, sorry Sir RJ, before we answer the question, I would like to add on to that. I agree with not reviewing but confirming the answers. Okay? It's
Right.
good to confirm the
Yes.
answers doon sa confused ka kasi ang I think it really matters on personal preference. Kung ikaw Sir Mac, you not preferred to talk to anyone, it's different on me. I think May is watching us. May Celine Gaho. I think ito isa rin to sa mga nakakausap ko nung during board exam.
Shout out kay
Ay,
May,
napakaganda
tsaka kay
niya.
Kuya Eric.
Si May.
Kay Kuya Eric na nanonood.
Shout out. Yeah,
Sir
the
RJ,
reason why
si May, napakagaho niyan.
Ay, gaho talaga yan.
Napakagaho niyan. Si May,
Gaho talaga.
napakagaho niyan.
May Celine Gaho. Hello. Yun pala, yun lang, it really depends on the personal preference. Like in my case, and it has been one of my tips to examinees to have clarifications to answered answers from either a trusted others or reference materials. I suggest a reference material to be sure. But please make sure to maintain yung positive mindset kasi kapag alam mong nagkamali ka, baka bigla ka mag-breakdown na babagsak na ako, gano'n. So, don't have that kind of mindset.
Actually,
Kasi-
sir, yan yung effect eh. Yeah. I would disagree on you on that, Sir Dio. Sorry, masingit ko lang ha. I would disagree on you on that kasi pag tapos na yung exam, what's the purpose? You've already answered. The die has already been cast. It's
Sige,
only
Sir Mac.
gonna cause you more worry.
May belief on that,
That's my 2 cents on that.
yeah, there's a tendency as well that the question that you have made wrong may appear or be related to the next question in the next exam. And I've experienced this on customs laws and customs
True.
procedures. I've made mistake on 2 questions on customs laws that I have corrected on the next set of exam. And I'm really thankful that I get to correct myself and finally get the correct answer on the second part. So yun lang, yun yung advantage on that. But again, I've heard a lot na napipressure sila pag nalalaman nilang mali. Ako, I was lucky to maintain that positive mindset na kahit nagkamali ako, I get to correct the next one. Yun yung advantage.
That's
Yeah,
true,
that's
sir.
it.
I think
there was
Sir
also
RJ,
a
you
next
wanna
question
share on
there.
that, or yung next question ba?
Yeah, meron.
Yan.
Ano po yung recommended number of hours po per day sa pagre-review? Shout out Din! Din! Hoy! Shout out!
Thank you,
Hoy!
Mr. Tulpo. Hoy.
Yan naman. Hoy! 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 Yan na yung shout out natin. Ano? Ganyan na tayo mag-shout out ngayon.
Okay. Recommended number of hours pagre-review. Well, I think 8 will do. Kasi that's the usual number of hours naman at work eh. So you consider it kumbaga parang nasa work ka lang din, di ba? But again, I think you listen to your body. You listen to your. There are days wherein you feel productive. Take advantage of those days. And there will be days na feeling mo pagod ka na and ayaw mo na mag-review. Take a break din. So it will also depend on your personal observation on your productivity. If you're productive, well, strike while the iron is hot. Well, if you're feeling like you need to take a rest, then by all means do so. But again, by not losing focus on your schedule. So, in any event, kung recommended lang, okay siguro. I think for me, yung 8 would be fine.
For me, sir, ako, ibalik ko lang sa advices din. Ako kasi ang pinanghawakan ko ng routine. Kumapit ako sa routine. It actually helped me stay on track. So may routine ako noon. I wake up in the morning, workout, and this and that. May oras ako. So kung ano yung schedule, just like what you presented, Sir Chris, before, kung ano yung schedule ng exam, I follow the time. So for example, customs laws ng morning. Then in the afternoon, tariff classification. So that's the schedule I followed. Tapos may certain number of hours na ako to review. I think I review from 8 o'clock up to 11 o'clock, then break ng 1 o'clock. Break ng 12 to 1, and then from 1 to, basta tatlo yung tatlo yung schedule ko. 1 to 4, something like that. And then break ulit, ligo, kain, and then in the evening, yun yung free time ko. Whatever favorite subject ko or may mga nalampasan ako, may kailangan akong pagtuunan ng pansin, doon ko yun sa third schedule ko, which is 6 to 9 o'clock. By 9:30, nakaligo na ako and everything. By 10 o'clock, tulog na ako. So I can wake up early in the morning around 5:30, para simulan ulit yung routine ko. So routine really helped me a lot. Pero then again, iba-iba ang tao. So for me, I would suggest maybe 6 to 8 hours a day.
Ako sir, dagdag lang din ako with recommended hours. Sa akin, it's a bit extensive for 8 hours. I mean, for me personally, I don't think I can manage to do 8 hours. Sir Chris, medyo extensive eh.
Let me just put that into context kasi that's just me because I needed to catch up because as I mentioned, hindi naman kasi ako customs administration graduate. So sa tingin ko tuloy, I had a lot of catching up to do with all the other people na 4 na taon nilang inaral yon. So my mindset was, paano kung hahabulin yung 4 na taon na inaral nila sa school nila ng undergraduate degree? So that's why my mindset was, wala talaga akong ibang ginagawa for a number of months. Wala akong ibang ginawa talaga kung hindi review lang.
Parang ano sa mo, pare may parak, takbo, ay habol. Yan ba?
Well, with that, Sir Chris, no, I think what we recommend to our viewers is not depend with recommended hours that we're going to say, but yung sinabi ni Sir Chris na assess yourself first kung syempre kung ano ba yung foundation mo. Doon nagsisimula kasi yung number of hours that you would be needing to study for your study. Try to assess first kung ano na yung foundation mo on customs laws, tariff laws, documentation, on the 4 subjects. Then that's the time you would come up with the number of hours that you would be needing. Kasi nga, tulad ng nabanggit namin kanina, hindi pwede masacrifice din yung personal life mo, especially if you're already a parent, di ba? Hindi mo naman pwede isacrifice yung pag-alaga ng anak mo, yung mga hobbies mo. Make sure that you balance everything. Okay? Yun lang. But for me, I would share lang rin yung preference ko. I do study 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, and 2 hours in the evening. Yun yung recommended hours ko sa sarili ko na fixed. And I won't go further or lower from that recommended hours. I think it's important to have that. Meron kang set na set na minimum number of hours for studies. But don't limit yourself with those number of hours. Kasi yung sa akin, on my 2 hours, that's just my starting point. So kapag I would get the grasp of studying and I enjoyed reviewing, I extend. Hindi ko naman nililimit yung sarili ko na, okay, I have enough, 2 hours, tapos na. No. Once you get the grasp of it, continue mo, pag tuloy-tuloy, then, yan, doon ka maghinto pag you had really
Exactly. There you have it from our very own Bong Navarro, Mr. Suave. Sir RJ, ikaw ba, Sir RJ, Mr. Wawi de Guzman, nung nahilig kumain?
Grabe ka naman. Grabe ka naman, may toyonting. Grabe ka naman. Well, Sir Mac, or Master, aka Master Shuli, aka Macho Dancer ng Northside. Baka nakalimutan lang ni Sir Mac na lagi kami magkasama mag-review, kaya nababaliw, kung paano siya mabaliw sa akin ngayon, nababaliw din siya during our review days. Well, I follow this format because naniwala ako dun sa sinasabi niya na actually, if I can recall dun sa nagkwento sa kanya, no, nakuha niya yan sa doktor niya eh, that time na nagpa-check up siya at in-advise siya ng doktor niya na condition yourself based doon sa board exam pattern. So if you're going to have the customs laws in the morning and the afternoon is the CDP, try to have this mindset na during the morning, try to review for customs laws. In the afternoon, try to review for the CDP. The next day after that, you try to review tariff laws in the morning and then classification and computation in the afternoon. So I did follow that format. Ang pinakamalas nga lang doon, after noon, nung the day before the board exam na, hindi na ako hindi na ako naging komportable as I've mentioned earlier, di ba? Pero that's what I exactly did. Yun lang naman.
Nag-work naman. Thank you very much dun sa shout out pala dun sa doktor. I can't remember her name, pero
Strange.
sa mga nagtatanong kung anong sakit, every morning I wake up, I look at the mirror, tapos tinatanong ko yung sarili ko, why are you so handsome? So nagpagamot ako sa doktor.
Nagpagamot ka na.
Kaya ganon. So,
Nagamot ka na yun, sir.
in-advise mo sa akin. Actually, hindi niya ako naggamot eh. Kasi parang naging si Harley Quinn yun. Imbis na gamutin niya si Joker, parang nadamay siya eh. Ayun, nandun na siya ngayon, naglalakad sa kalsada.
Ikaw si Joker. Joker Rene Requestas version.
Exactly.
Ay,
By the way, good performance yun.
Good performance.
So, yun. I think ang dami nating na-share today. I think time is really not with us kasi we're trying to limit the time that we are outside. But with the given time, I think sobrang daming na yan. I think we can do another part of this later down the track after mga nakalinya nating topics. So siguro ko let's bring it down to final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
On this and final advice, so to speak, para sa mga ilan na 13,000 na viewers natin. Sir,
Actually,
Chris,
23,000.
Wow.
23,000. Grabe naman.
Yeah.
Grabe naman.
Grabe nga.
Sir Chris.
Sige. Go ahead, Sir Chris.
Okay. Hindi, sige. Yung final word of advice na lang din. Start preparing now. There's no better time to start than now. Start preparing now. Number 2, kumbaga, ask yourself why you would subject yourself to this experience. Gusto mo maging broker? Then work for it. Okay? And believe that you can make it happen. You always pray. You keep keep yourself healthy during the process and pray. And try to eliminate all unnecessary thoughts and unnecessary distractions in your life. This is one of the most this is an important period in your life wherein you should keep yourself focused then. Okay? So try to keep that in mind also. And also bear in mind that this will not last. Matatapos din itong review ninyo. Mahirap, admittedly, the review process is a hard thing to go through. But always bear in mind na matatapos din to. And your exam day will come, judgment day will come. And makikita nyo rin yung magiging bunga ng paghihirap ninyo. Okay?
100%, sir. 100%. Sir Dio, what's your thought on that?
Sorry, sir. Medyo mahaba ata yung akin. Napakahaba ata.
Okay,
Pero I would
sir.
like to
Meron
share
pa tayong
this.
5 minutes.
Okay. Because I would like to share this tips also with our viewers. Siguro yung pre-board exam and during board exam, I have 3 for pre-board exam. The first one is to compete against getting the right answers to questions or exam and not with others. Remember that the exam is to test you and you alone. The scores of others during quizzes, reviews, simulations, yung mga tutorials won't really have bearing to your results. Diba? So that's why it's important. Second one would be stop thinking that there were secrets behind topping the board exam. I've been always hearing this during the review proper that we tend to listen that there's a secret behind topping the board exam. If you
Red
keep that
underwear.
it will only drag you down thinking about why others know or can easily do this and that. There's no secret. They're just study habits, methods, and techniques which are often unique to each and everyone. You either adopt or find your own and deliver. And at this point, it's best to stick to what you're most perfectly comfortable. So that's the second one. Third one, before you take the exam, do your research. Okay? You know that your battle against the exam started way back in college. Especially for those students, start now, as early as now, tulad nga sa Sir Chris. And because that may form the most of your learning foundation today. Wala kang ibang aasahan. But if you're a late bloomer, tulad ko, it's okay. Just extend extra mile and put extra effort to catch up with the essentials tulad ng alam mo yung exam coverage that you would need to know as you face the exam itself. Okay? Do not merely depend with anong naibigay na sagot. Make sure that you also do your own validation kasi pag inalam mo lang kung ano yung sagot and you didn't try to understand the approach to the question, pag binalibaliktad yan, hindi mo maiintindihan. And especially if there's related question, kung yung sagot lang ang alam mo and not the question, you won't get the correct answer onto that. Onto the last two tips, yung nabanggit ko na kanina, have clarifications to assured answers from trusted others or suggested would be a reference material. Yun nga, para in case ma-appear yung same question, you won't get the incorrect answers again. Lastly, tulad ng nabanggit ni Sir Mac, avoid discussing unrelated topics during the two-day examination. Again, our brain is at its most productive time when focused on certain ideas or memories. Okay? The chismis, the celebration is up for later until you have completed all the exams. Okay? Huwag magpapadala sa mga sabi-sabi at mga taong nakapaligid. Yun lang. That's for my tips for you guys.
What about you, Sir RJ?
Yes, mag-a-add na lang ako doon sa mga nasabi na natin kanina, no? Like having a healthy lifestyle and time management. So, for me, ang gusto ko lang i-add doon, pwede rin kayo makahingi ng tips sa mga nakapag-take na ng board exam. And if you find them useful, of course, pwede nyo rin naman i-practice din. But then again, depende yun sa inyo kung paano nyo na-appreciate yun. Second, always have this check and balance. Huwag kayong magre-rely lang sa kung anong tinuro sa inyo or anong sinabi sa inyo ng lecturer ninyo sa review center. Always do your part. Okay? Pinaka-importante yun na ikaw mismo ang mag-check, ikaw mismo ang mag-a-analyze kung paano yun nasabi ng reviewer ninyo. And gusto ko rin i-share na mag-pray din kayo. Always ask for divine intervention. Hindi naman mali na mag-ask ka ng divine intervention. Yung mga pamahiin nila na sinasabi na mag-St. Jude every Thursday, nagawa ko na yan before. Magdala ng mga lucky charms tulad ng sinasabi kanina ni Sir Mac na nagsuot daw siya ng red underwear. Tatlo. Sinuot niya at the same time, 'di ba? So ako nagdinala ko is yung nag-work naman yung St. Jude Novena and everything na dala-dala ko na I find na lucky charms. So, yun lang naman. Always do your part also. At wag na kayong mag-focus sa distractions. Tapusin niyo na yan.
Exactly.
Focus lang.
Exactly.
Sir RJ, dagdag ako dyan naniwala rin ako dyan. I put some coins on my
Your underwear? Grabe naman.
Feet. Coins on my feet.
Ano ba? Dati was ginagawa yun, underwear, coins on the underwear. It's like, ano ba?
Yeah. At yung mga advice natin, yung mga advice natin,
Ay, kayo lang pala.
Yung mga advice natin, hindi lang limited yan sa mga magte-take ng CBLE for this year. Mga students natin sa undergrad, sa B216, B217, 316, 317, shout out na sa inyo ngayon. Sa mga student ko na first year, 118. Practice niyo ito ngayon pa lang. Try to have this mindset already that you're going to focus. Okay? So, yun lang naman sa akin. Sir Mac!
Sir RJ, thank you very much dyan sa tawag nito, siksik liglig na advice mo. Ako sir, dalawa lang. Kasi gusto nang umawi ng aking kapatid. Ang tawag dito, two things. Number one, do not prepare tomorrow for tomorrow. Tulad ng sinabi ni Sir Dio, Sir Chris at ni Sir RJ, para sa akin, you prepare yesterday for tomorrow. That means, ngayon, dapat kahapon ka pa nagsimula. You're late na. Ngayon na. Hindi ngayon. Kahapon ka pa dapat nagsimula. Number two, para to sa mga pressured, tulad ko at the time. Pag sobrang pressure mo, I developed mga certain things noon na may insomnia ako, I couldn't sleep, and everything, yung utak ko hindi nag-off, it's constantly thinking. May experience mo yan eh. Hindi ka niya papatulugin because it's always thinking about something, but that's something you can't even understand and you don't know. So at the time, grabe ang pinagdaanan ko. So I don't know what I'm doing. Walang masyadong nag-a-advise. Pero full support naman yung family, of course. Yung family nagbibigay ng advice. Pero in so much as yung fellow mo na nag-board exam din, wala akong masyadong nakuha on that kasi iba-iba naman ang tao. Pero those na nagkakaroon ng pressure, at yun, di nakakatulog. Ako no, nag-isip ako na magpagamot, kung ano-ano. I'm constantly looking at a lot of solutions all throughout na ang lalayo na. And then, parang may nag-challenge sa akin, I just can't remember who, but there was a challenge na parang ako yata yun naisip ko, na if I'm willing to go the distance on all of these, scientific and medical things, why not try my luck on praying at the time? So sabi ko, sige nga, subukan ko nga. And surprisingly, I'm not a superstitious person. I tell you that. Hindi ako ganun. But doon nag-start yung pag hindi na superstitious but believer ba. Na I'm willing to go the distance with all the science and whatnot. Then I started praying. After that, and I still don't know how to pray. Ang ginawa ko lang noon, I just recited. I don't know how to talk to, God at the time. I just recited yung Bicol prayer noon, and that's it. That's all I know. Pero surprisingly, after that, and the following nights, tuloy-tuloy yung tulog ko. So, yun lang. Those are the two things na siguro ko final sa inyo. Wala namang mawawala kung maniniwala. So, with that, I'm Mac Bilazon, your makulit na moderator.
Okay,
Sir,
ikaw na, sir, sa Dio.
Can we have Sir RJ, you have a last announcement for our next Saturday session?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Sir Dio, for reminding me. So next Saturday, please tune in as we discuss the importance of extracurricular activities in celebration of the PSCAS week or the establishment of the Philippine Society of Customs Administration student. So yan yung mga magiging topics namin for next week. So Sir Dio and Sir Chris, thank you very much sa time na binigay ninyo sa amin. Sir Mac, maraming salamat for helping me moderate this very wonderful and very informative topic. Punta na tayo sa shoutout natin. Shoutout po kay Kiani Tolentino, kay Dels Production 101, kay May Celine Gaho, kay Dean Christian Bagisi, kay Ana Christine Adocal, kay Razel Zapata, Resty Datu, Jeneline Ariola, Ray Genesis Torres, James Buhay, John Melen, ang aking mga 7 dwarfs. Sa inyong lahat, shout out sa inyong lahat. Hoy!
Shout out din kay Mang Berto, yung tambay sa kanto. I love you.
Kuya Eric, sabi ni Mac, mahal na mahal ka daw niya. Shout out din daw sa iyo. With that, thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye!